We're back with another one. So I always hear stories about cars in Zambezi. So there's a lot of dealerships in Zambezi. I always see them when I pass by, but I've never actually checked them out. So I decided that I need to go see for myself and actually see what are the kind of prices that are there in terms of these cars and what type of cars they are there. So this is the first dealership that I actually stopped by, and I was interested by this car that you are seeing here that is going for around 169,000 rands. So the thing that attracted me the most about this car is that it just looks boxy and it just looks like a car that can go anywhere, an all-terrain car. So what you're looking at is the Land Rover Defender TD 510. So as you can see, this is not a plastic car. So back in the days, cars were actually strong. If you bump this car with your car is gonna be finished, shame. There will be nothing, shame. So what I noticed that the tires are finished. So yeah, let's talk about this car. This car, as you can see on top, it comes with a roof rack. So as you moved on to the inside of the car, so this is a manual, but at the same time it has two gear levers. The other gear lever that you're looking at there, that's for a 4x4. So basically that's the one that you use to drive when you're off or when you're off-roading. And the car actually has a bed at the back. I don't know how comfortable that bed is. So seeing that this car, the production year started in 1983, the surprising thing is that it has a lot of AC vents. So there's a lot of AC vents inside there. So as you can see, that's the switch that you use to control from the driver's side. So it's a 3-pedal car, meaning that it's a manual. So what is the type of engine that actually drives this behemoth of a car? So the type of engine that you're looking at in terms of the one that's responsible for propelling this car forward is a 2.5 diesel engine. So you already know that's an engine that's actually designed for off-roading, but at the same time it actually contains low torque in terms of power. So basically it has more pulling power, so if ever there's a car stuck, this car will be able to pull it. So the other thing that I noticed is that the guy that was actually showing me the car, it was very friendly. It was like, okay, you should enter, we have more interesting cars. So the other car that he showed me, there's a Toyota Cressida there and the Toyota Buggy that is called the Raider. So this is a very old car. So the Toyota Cressida, for those who know, the production year started in 1989, and most of it, the one that was very powerful was the one that came with the V6 engine, but it was a carburetor engine. It wasn't the type of cars that you find today, but at the same time it didn't prevent it from producing 190 in terms of horsepower. So that was very sufficient in terms of the time, because even today there's a lot of cars that don't produce that amount of power. Even the Polo Vivo, even with its turbo, it doesn't produce that amount of power. So that's a lot of power by Polo Vivo. Before people start arguing with me, I'm not talking about the GTI. As you heard me, I said the Vivo. So the one that you're looking at in terms of the Cressida back to it, this was a 2.4 liter GLE, but still this car was very powerful at its time. People were very afraid of this car. So these cars, as you know, Toyota cars, they have a lot of longevity. So this car, even though it's very old, I did not see any rust. I don't know if these guys have fixed this car before, but the engine actually looks a little bit too clean for a very old car. So definitely if you're buying an old car and the engine is actually too clean, it's actually cleaner than the engine bay of my car, so definitely it means that it's that they cleaned the engine or the car actually has an accident history and they had to make sure that everything is clean. They had to repaint. But yeah, other than that, this is a very good car in terms of the condition and the year that it came out in. So I was very surprised. I was like, okay, it seems like there's a lot of friendly people in terms of Zambezi. So this guy was actually helping me, showing me around. He was a very friendly guy. He was willing to open the cars. So what happened was that his boss came while this guy was actually showing me the cars. So the boss was not happy that the guy was actually showing me the inside of the cars. So that was actually a red flag for me. I was actually surprised why he doesn't want the guy to actually show me the inside of the car. That was very odd. So what I'm gonna explain throughout this video is that most of the people, they don't want their cars to be viewed the inside, and most of them, they actually don't want their cars to be recorded also, even on the outside. So throughout this whole video, I was having a very difficult time to even try to record, because most of the dealerships, they don't even allow it. Most of them, they will be chasing you, they will be right there behind you, making sure that you are looking at the car and not recording the car. So yeah, I just wanted to first show you these two old cars, just to show you that Toyotas back in the days, they actually had cars that actually last, and you can already see. But in terms of the prices, both of these two cars, I would say they are overpriced, especially considering how old they were. So after I finished looking at these two cars at this dealership, I decided to leave because the boss was not happy with the guy, even though the guy was so friendly to show me cars. So I moved on to the next dealership. So as I came, I found a Toyota Corolla in this dealership. So the thing that seemed odd to me were the lights. These lights, they are still in very good condition, a little bit too good in terms of the condition. Even the paintwork, I was actually checking it out, it seemed a little bit to be too good in terms of the condition. So I was checking also the body panels, how do they link up. This car to me just seems to be too good to be true, especially in such a place where they sell very old cars. So whatever that I was touching, those were certain red flags that I was picking up. So after what I saw and examined this car, I decided, in terms of my judgment, I already decided that no, this car has an accident history. Basically, this car was repainted, the lights, those lights were new. So I moved on. That's some of the red flags that you should see the moment you look at a car. So if you know that a car came out a long time ago in terms of the model year, let's say that it came out in 2010 or 2008, and the car is in very good condition and the lights haven't fogged up, that's a very red flag. So the thing that keeps playing in my mind every time when I go through these cars, I notice that these are cars which have high mileage. These are high mileage cars, hence the price. So just look at this one. The tire is finished, like it's finished. Like this tire looks like those tires that you find with those people who are selling at the side of the road. In fact, those tires, most of them, they actually look better than this one. So looking at the price, I would say that if you know yourself and you know that you're not a mechanic, you don't fix cars, and you don't know how to diagnose a car, I would say that stay away from Zambezi. This is not the place where you and I, who don't know much about fixing cars, we don't need to come to this place in terms of buying a car. I would say that go somewhere. You actually stand a better chance in Gezina, as much as the reputation is not good. unless if you just want a car that you're just gonna be modifying, you don't care whether it breaks down or not. You're gonna find a lot of cars. For example, you can see this Audi. I'm sure by now you probably have noticed something. All these cars that I'm seeing, they are very cheap. I would say that they are very affordable. For example, let's say that I want a bike for work. I know that I'm gonna be using it for very hardcore work, like carrying heavy stuff. It won't be such a bad thing. Let's say you come and get a cheap bike here, maybe you diagnose it, you find that okay, it has 1 2 3 4 issues, and you fix them because they are very cheap. These cars, they are very very cheap. Then you know, okay, even though it's gonna be breaking down, but if you have a mechanic who constantly fix it, then you know, okay, I'll fix 1 2 3 4. Another car that is very interesting here, it is, so this is a minibus. I think those ones who win lotto, the ones who go to I blow it, these are cars that they should be looking at so that they can at least carry students. So if you get this car, it's costing around 159,000. You can carry a few students. So this minibus actually takes 8 people. It's not a lot when you compare with the taxis that we find out there, but still, considering the price, you'll be able to carry kids around. Obviously, from time to time it will break down. I would actually say that at least have another backup. As soon as this one breaks up, then you know, okay, I'll be able to have another one. Look at that, it even has air conditioning on top. I remember as I was growing up, I would see taxis which have air conditioning on top. I used to get very impressed, but those air conditioning never used to work because you would need to open the windows, and also there's that misconception that air conditioning always eats petrol. But it seems like in the current cars, like the latest cars, it's a bit different. So as soon as I was finished with that dealership, I moved on to another one. So here I found 3 minibuses all in a row. So it was very difficult to actually start recording in this dealership. Disclaimer, I just want to note it down. So what happened was that as soon as I arrived, there was someone who kept following me. The person actually didn't want me to record, so I first acted like I'm leaving. Then after I came back, as soon as that person disappeared, then I started having a bit of freedom to actually move around. But I did talk to them, and then I did notify them that no, I'm recording for 1 2 3 4. But most of these people, they didn't want me to record, which was a bit of a bad sign because I'm giving you free publishing here. But back to that, here's the car for Mercedes-Benz that looks like a V-Class, even though this one is not the V class, but why would you wanna spend more than $1 million on a minibus? Maybe people like, to me that's just throwing money. But you can come and spend on this one, but in terms of the price, that's expensive. So what I would say is that this is the dealership where I found cars which are not so old, and the mileages, most of them are reasonable, but some of them they are very old. So I was able to come across this Mercedes-Benz. So what you're seeing me there, I was actually trying to check, okay, is this a rear exhaust? But obviously, because this car came out back in the days when cars were still making rear exhaust, it is real. So that thing that you need to do if you're buying an old car, you need to check the exhaust, actually touch the inside and see, okay, how black is it? So basically, by how black it is that what I mean is that the color of the exhaust actually tells you, okay, does this car burn oil? So if it burns oil, you're gonna find a lot of dark stuff. So that actually tells you whether was the car actually getting serviced. So it can tell you a lot about a car, whether you should buy it or not, because cars, when they're just standing still and they're not moving, they seem to be in very good condition. Another thing that you need to know about most of these cars, you're not even gonna get a service history. So you yourself, you have to do a good inspection. So back to this car. So this car came out in 2006, and the thing that I showed you, it actually has a hard top though. That's a convertible. As soon as I finished checking that one, I saw another Mercedes-Benz. So the reason I was checking such cars is because, you know, new cars are no longer affordable, and there's nothing in my mind that justifies paying at least 10,000 in terms of installment of a car, even 9,000. So back in the days, cars were very affordable, but now I saw how much people are paying at Twitter. Someone is paying like 9,000 for a Polo TSI. That was kind of shocking to me, that someone would want to pay 9,000 for a car that comes with a 1.0 liter engine. That was very shocking to me. So for my case, I'd rather buy a second-hand car that is affordable, obviously not in Zambezi. So here's another Mercedes-Benz. It's 162,000 in terms of the kilometer. This is a 2015 model. It's affordable, the price, but for those who know, this is that poverty spec. For those who know, it's not a full-blown spec. So moving on to another car that I saw. So I decided to actually come and have a look at this Vhangani. So first good sign to me in terms of an old car. This is a very old car. You can see the lights have already fogged up. That's actually a good sign, because it's an old car. But if those lights were actually looking too good and they look like that Corolla that I saw on the other side, I would know that this car actually has an accident history. Another thing that I noticed about most of these cars, what you should know is that the permits have already expired. So most of them you're gonna need to pay again in terms of the traffic officers to bring them back on the road. But most of these cars, I don't want to lie, Shem, they're overpriced. Even looking at this Vhangani with around 200,000 kilometers and still going for 100,000. At 100,000 you can get a Quid, a very affordable Quid, which with around 30,000. I'd rather go for a Quid which I know that it's gonna drive for a couple of years, unlike buying an ancestor car, a car that's actually a finished product. That doesn't make sense. So for those who don't mind buying a Hyundai, there's a Hyundai Accent. So some of these cars, people actually use them for Uber. So yeah, that's something that I saw, and it's still in very good condition, even the tires. So what I can tell you about this dealership, this one, unlike the other dealerships, the tires, they are still in very good condition. The paint work is in very good condition, but you don't know the service history. And the next thing is that the cars have very high mileage. So yeah, that is being it in terms of me and my review of the cars in Zambezi. I would definitely say that there's a lot of red signs in terms of someone buying their first car here. I would never advise someone to buy their first car here. Definitely, if you want to buy your first car, go somewhere go somewhere to some other dealership. There's Wheelie, there's We Buy Cars, and you can even try your luck in Gezina or somewhere else. Definitely you don't need to be playing at Zambezi if you know that you're not a mechanic, because all these cars have very high mileage and most of them are overpriced. In fact, you can actually get a brand new car which is far better at the prices that you're finding here, a car that you know that will never give you problems. And thank you for those who stayed this long to actually watch my video, and thank you so much for the new subscribers. And for those who haven't subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please subscribe, it helps me a lot. I'm hoping to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, but I can't do it alone. It only takes a couple of seconds from your side, and it doesn't take much of your time, and you don't even need to pay, but it helps me a lot. And as much as I've reviewed these cars and I've been talking a lot, I would say that is it for me. And YouTube, I hope to see you again, same time, same place. That's it for me. Bye.